Okay, so today what we will do, we will be discussing about our fifth module. The fifth module includes what you will do after your preparation of your 3D model in Tinkercad. Okay, and next we will talk about the 3D scanners. Okay, so what are 3D scanner, how it is interrelated to this 3D printing. We will just have a small discussion on 3D scanners, and I will show you how this slicing software works. Okay, different printers have their inbuilt software. Okay, so I will demonstrate in front of you just for one. Okay, and in similar manner, maybe the interface looks some different kind, but it will be in similar way. Okay, now before I start, there were some queries related to Tinkercad. Okay, so just 2 to 3 minutes, 2 to 3 queries I received on my email. So I will just you see on the screen, you will do in similar manner, nothing so much hard and complicated in that. So I received one query that how to change the surface texture of this, how to smooth it, okay, and what changes can be made in the given basic shapes. Okay, now when you click on this object, for example, I've taken a box. When you click on this object, you will see a panel in front of you named shape. Now, when you go to the shape, you have an option of radius, steps, length, width, height. So width and height, I already talked, you can adjust from here also. When it comes to radius and steps, okay, what happens? When I change the radius, see if I focus on this, yeah, I hope you can see it very clearly. When I change my radius, you can easily see the corner radius has been changed. Okay. Now it has, you can look to this, it will look something like this. It has been changed. The shape of this rectangular box has been changed. Okay. As I increase the radius, the shape changes. Okay. Now, what happens when I change my steps? The texture, if you clearly see, I don't know whether you can see clearly in my screen, but when you will go to your Tinkercad, you can easily change. See, now you can see some edges when I've kept the steps to 2. As I increase the steps, the textures become more and more smooth. Okay, so in by these adjustments, you can also do some modification in the original shape. Okay, next question was how to change the number of pitch in the given length. Okay, one student has said, "Ma'am, how we can change the number of threads in a given length?" So for them, the answer is what you do. I'll just duplicate it and demonstrate to you. See, suppose this was the original thread generated by me. I want to increase in a given length, it is 30. I want to increase or decrease the filleting. Yes, you can say that the previous one, the edges are curved. That means you are filleted. Okay, filleting. Fillet is the correct word. Yeah. So if I have to change the number of threads, I have to increase or decrease the rotation. But when you will do that, definitely your length will change. So after increasing and decreasing the rotation, what you do, you bring back your threads to original length. Okay. So in same 30 length, the number of pitch will be increased. Okay. If you want to decrease it, you can easily do in same manner. I'll show you. Suppose I want to decrease the number of rotations. So you can easily see I have decreased the rotation to 6 and I have changed the length to 30. So same length, the pitch can be changed. Okay. Okay, I'll share after the class the measurement of the previous class. Or you can go to your YouTube video, you can easily see the measurements. I have repeated there multiple of times. Okay. Third problem, I have seen that many of you, when you were joining that spanner portions, okay, so there were some, so for pitch you are adjusting the rotation, okay, not the pitch, the rotation. For increasing the threads, you are going with the rotation. Pitch you can change it over here, okay, fine. Okay, now come to the joining. Okay, can I show it again? Okay. So if you want to increase the number of rotations and decrease the number of rotation in a given length, you will go to this option, okay, rotations, right? Suppose in 30, I have to increase the rotation. I will click over here and the number of rotation, I hope you can see, is increased. So I will show how to increase the rotation in this. Okay, I've increased the rotation. The length is also increased. Now I will bring back to its length 30. So previously it was like this, if you can see. Now with same length, I have increased the number of threads in this. Okay, I just mean to that. One of the students had asked me this query, so I just resolved it. Right, the number of threads, if you want to increase, you can increase like that. Okay, now when you are joining two of the components, what you have to do, please insert the one component a little bit inside the second one, click both the objects and then join. So when I was seeing some of the projects you have sent me, what you didn't join them completely, you just kept at surface, just insert it a little bit so that these two get joined together. Okay, so by this I hope all the queries maximum I will resolve. Those which are not resolved, we will talk on the email. Okay, I will, maybe 1 or 2 days I will take time, but I will respond to all the mails. Okay, now coming back to our slicing software. Okay, so when I say the slicing software, we will be talking about the Ultimaker Cura. I will be demonstrating you one of the model which you prepared, that chess pawn, how the slicing will happen in the software. Okay, the Ultimaker Cura is the software which is compatible for Ultimaker printers. Okay, so there are range and series of the Ultimaker printers. I will select one of them and Altimeter S5, and for that I will just demonstrate in front of you. You need not need to do anything with this software. Just you will see how it happens. Okay. So I think you can see my software screen. Just a minute. Okay. So what you see in front of me, okay, it is just a kind of a demo of the printer. What is the exact size of my printer? This is the bed of the printer, and this is how the printer external case will look like. Okay, now what I have to do, I have to import my created file, right? I will just go to file and I will open my projects. Okay, whatever projects, whatever files I've saved, I will open that. Okay, while opening that, I will be, and remember that your files should be saved in form of STL. Okay, now STL, if I show you how to save it in Tinkercad, right? So you have to export. When you click on export, you will get an option of .stl. .stl you will click, and this file will be exported in form of .stl file to your system. Okay, .stl is an extension similar to what you see in .pdf, .docs. Okay, it is an extension name. Fine. Okay, now what happens when I will import? I will go to file, I will just open my project, open my file. My file, whatever 3D model I have made, it will appear over here. Okay, so when I click on this option, okay, this is my printer bed, the object will be kept over here. Okay, and when I click on that, I have an option to locate the position of this model on my bed. If suppose I want to print multiple 3D objects, what I can do, I can place multiple of them over here, right? So I have an option to move it. I have an option to rotate it, to resize it. Suppose I want to resize it. So I can just go and increase it, scale it, right? So these all flexibilities are given to me inside this slicing software, right? There are different options for editing, replacing, rotating, okay? Now, we have to do few of the initial settings in this, right? We have to select, okay, again, I will explain this. Whenever I have to print my 3D model, first thing I will do, I will go to the slicing software. I will do the slicing process first. Okay, after slicing process, what will happen? It will generate some kind of G codes that will be sent to the printer. Okay, so what I will do, I will just go to my software. Every printer has their own inbuilt software. Okay, I'm taking an example of one of the printer, Ultimaker S5. Okay, so for that, this software is already given by the company, whichever printer you buy. Okay, in that, what you have to do, you have to open your source file .stl file. Okay, and after opening it, you can, if you want to place this object somewhere else, you can place it. You want to resize, you can resize it. You want to mirror it, you can mirror it. Okay, so these type of initial settings you can do it, right? So major setting, what you have to do is that you have to select the appropriate printer, right? There is Ultimator. There are series of printers available in the market. Okay, so in the series of these printers, Ultimaker S5 I'm selecting, right? Now, this printer is the example of FDM. No, you can select more than one at a time also. Okay, it's not restricted that you can go with one only. You can go with more than one option also, right? You can place multiple objects. Condition is that it should be fixed within the size of the bed. Okay, within the size of bed, you can place multiple objects together and you can print, right? Okay. Now, coming back, this is a software which is of FDM. FDM, Fused Deposition Modeling Type. In fused deposition type, we have used the raw material as filament. Remember the second class? We have used the raw material, the plastic, thermoplastic, which was in form of filament. Okay. So we used to see, if you remember the video, we have seen two nozzles over there. Okay. So if we want to use two colors, you can go with selection of two materials over there. If you want to go for selection of one color, you can go with selection of one material. Okay. So how you will do that? See, you have an option over here. One Ultimaker, two Ultimaker. So these are the options for the two nozzles. Okay. Now, when you click on this, you have to just check whether they are enabled or not. Okay. First, you have to enable it. One of the nozzle will get enabled over there. Okay. The extruder part. So there you will first select the material, which material you want to select. So when you click on the drop down menu, you have an option of materials over here. ABS, nylon, PLA. So for this, I have selected PLA black. Okay. You have to select that, keep changes. Print core means the nozzle is given a name, AA.4, right? AA.4 over here means the diameter of the nozzle, right? So this is a printer core name and what nozzle diameter you are selecting for, what printer you are having. Okay. Now, there are also other options. If you have a printer with BB.8 type of nozzle, you can go with that. Okay. So I'm selecting, for example, AA.4. The second one I need in just one color. So I'm just selecting for one of my dimension value of 0.4 mm. Okay. So that's very small. Okay. And Next, after selecting the appropriate material, no, you need not to install it. Just see how it happens. I want to show you just simply the slicing option. Okay, just 2 3 more settings and you are done with slicing. Okay, so after selecting the appropriate material in the nozzle, you have selected appropriate color. After that, what you will do, you will think about how much thickness I need for my layer by layer deposition. Okay, so when you click on this menu, you get an option over here to select the thickness of your layer height. Okay, presently it's 0.2. The thicker the layer, the more time it will take for your 3D model to print. For presently, it is 0.2. I will just keep it 0.2 only. Okay, also there is an option of mesh percentage. If you go down, you will see the infill density. Infill density, I will just exactly, when I will show you the slicing, I will show you what infill density means. Actually, the material which is filling inside, making it solid, it is kind of a mesh. So mesh density, how much it is given by the percentage. Okay. So you have pattern of filling, you can go with different patterns. You want to fill in triangle, it will go with triangle one. Okay. Now, after doing these settings, 15, if you want to go for finer, you can keep 15. If you want to go for a little bit higher, you can go for 20 also. Okay, finer, again, the finer it will, the better the product will be, definitely, but it will take more time also, right? So I've kept it 15. Now, after doing all these settings, there will be a button present over here, right, which says you have to slice it. Now I will just click on the slice and you will see the processing. It will complete the slicing and show me the exact time it will take to print this 3D model. So you can see, depending upon the size, I've actually scaled it a little bit large. So it will take 9 hours and 22 minutes. Okay. So it is quite big. When I will do it as small, so it will take a lesser time. Okay. Anyways, now let's come to the preview. Okay. Now, over here, I would like to show you, I will take, so these are the steps. These are 815 steps in which this whole model will be completed. Okay. Now I will take to one of the mid step and I will show you exactly how it works. Now you can, if you see very carefully, you will see this nozzle going round and it is creating some kind of mesh inside. Okay. Round, see. So the density of this mesh was given as 15%. Okay. Now, one by one, it will form layer by layer deposition and eventually you can build this whole product. Okay. So now what? Integrity. It is used for the integrity, not support material. You will see in some different colors. Suppose they have built a base over here, okay, to support the material in different color. Now color schemes, you can see different, the explanation. Yeah, I will show you again, once again, I will show you the slicing process. So you want to know about color scheme, there is also option where you can see the red color represents the outer shell, the yellow color represents the edges, okay. So top and bottom wall is given by green color, so you can easily see, okay. Helpers means the supporters, right? No. You initially just set in when whatever material model you are making, you will just select the filament type, what you want to print. According to filament color only it will print. Diameter of the nozzle, it depends upon the printer you are having. Suppose you are having a printer of nozzle 0.4, you are going to use that only. Okay, 0.8 you will use that only. So according to the specification of the printer, you will adjust the nozzle dia. What is triangle option? Which triangle option you are saying? I didn't understand. Yeah, same thing will be done in the metal printer or any printer. That each printer, this is the type of FDM one. Okay. Slicing, see, slicing is done. Now what will we do? We will, it has generated some kind of code. So we will send this file to these, we can save this file. Okay. We can save the project and this file will be sent to the printer. Okay. Right. You can send this to printer and the printer will start processing the nozzle according to the G codes which we have generated by the slicing process. Okay. Slicing is done, you have to deposit. See, why slicing is done? Because you have to ultimately deposit the material layer by layer only. So how it will do? How will the system understand that you have to do layer by layer? It need to generate some kind of code. So how it is generating that kind of code? They are generating by using this software, slicing software. Okay, you need to slice the whole product in slices. Okay. So layer by layer disposition will be occurring. Okay, how monitor option, monitor option where you can see, if you have any query, see, you all have many questions. Okay. Yeah, you can make more than one item. You can make more than one item over there. No problem. Multiple objects can be put over. Okay. No objection with that. You can do that. Okay. So, are you asking about this? Okay, just a second, just a second. Yeah, monitor. See, monitor is an option available. This will activate once your system is connected to the printer. See, when I go to monitor option, you are given that please connect your printer to the network, right? So right now I'm sitting at a different place. When I will be sitting in my lab, it will ask me to connect to the printer. Okay. And then I will be seeing on this page, I will be seeing my nozzle, how it is working. It will be giving me a photographic view, exactly how the nozzle is doing in live. Okay. So this monitor option is used for that. This preview option is given to you that if you want to make some changes, you can make it. You are given the time, anything you want to change in the model, you can do it. You can keep it greater than 15, definitely. No problem with the mist density. You can increase the thickness layer. Okay. So yes, you can do that. No problem with that. Okay. So this is the way in which the slicing happens. Just I wanted to tell you that. So I hope after this, the printing thing would not be difficult. Any software, any printer, any type of printer will definitely have this slicing software. The interface may change, but settings will be somewhat like this one. Yes, if the see, presently it is showing me that 111 gram of material will be utilized for making this chest pawn. Okay. Now, when I change my thickness layer, when I change this mesh density, definitely it will increase and decrease. It will depend on that. Okay. You have made the Tinkercad of, you can just, yeah, I have received a mail. I know. I will check and tell you. Tinkercad itself, yes, you can send it through Tinkercad itself. You can just click on the link. Okay. You can click on the link. You are saving this. Okay. Or better is either you send me the screenshot or you can simply export it in form of STL. STL is better. Okay. Now, I hope this Ultimator Cura thing, how it works, you have got an idea. I know you need a demonstration by yourself to do it. But for now, you should have an understanding what exactly happens after you create a 3D model. Okay. Ultimator black is the filament color. color, black PLA. I've selected black PLA. It will go with black. If I want different color, I can go with blue PLA. Okay, my object will print in blue. Okay, fine. Now quickly we should come to the 3D scanners. I think till here the 3D printing basics, how to create 3D model and how to do slicing till it goes to printer, I have made you clear. Okay. Now we will be talking about one more technology known as 3D scanning. What is the difference between 3D scanning and 3D printing? Okay. So 3D scanning, if I say specifically, it is a high precision 3D. It creates high precision 3D models of a real objects that are in real world. Okay. So what it does, you see this scanner, right? What it does, any complicated object or any object in the world, you want to scan it, right? What do? You use these 3D scanners to take the picture of this object. You see over here a Mario, right? You take this scanner to scan this model over here. And what it does, it converts the scanned images into a 3D model. Okay. The scanned model, whatever scanning is done, 3D scanning, it works like you are scanning, taking multiple shots of the object. You are clicking multiple pictures of the object from different directions, and it is using those snapshots together to develop a complete 3D model. Okay, it can develop exact 3D copy of what you are scanning, right? Yes, it some of the 3D scanners simultaneously it will capture, and it can also collect the color data for the same. Yes, it can do that, right? Now, the basic principle of the 3D printer is to collect the data of the object, and that object can be from the environment. It can be a room, it can be a human, it can be anything. Okay, right? So we will see exactly how it works, but why we do this 3D scanning. So sometimes what happen in industry is some product come, very complicated product come, and we have to test it. So instead of directly testing it, what we do, we create a 3D model of that component, and we test it through different simulation before actually implementing into the machine or different areas, right? So we can test it exactly how the simulation works, and if we want to make some correction, we can make it. So what happens eventually, it reduces the cost, right? Something wrong happened, so the cost invested in that will be wasted. So in order to avoid that, what we do, we use the 3D scanning of this complicated products, or what, suppose we have to duplicate some product. We can easily do the 3D scanning, create its 3D model. If we want to resize it, we want to make some modification in the present model, we can do it. And again, we can go with 3D printing. Okay. So it is kind of a reverse engineering. Yes, definitely. Interior of the model, I will tell you, it uses the projectors, the lasers, different lights to scan the interiors even. Okay, it will scan and build the model in all over the texture of the product. Okay, just a minute, I will show you exactly how we can, yeah, we can edit them later on. When it is the 3D model is created, on the 3D software, you can edit, resize it. You want to add something, you can add it. Okay, of any size, even humans. I will just show you. I will just show you in 1 or 2 videos that exactly how it does. Okay. Now, before I come to that the demonstration thing, I just have a glimpse that there are different types of physical principles that are used in case of 3D scanning. Okay, different principles are used. They use laser light. Okay, They use this photogrammetry. Okay, contact type of 3D scanners are there. Laser, pulse laser they use. Cartoons can be, yeah, if you want to duplicate some cartoons, it can be done using 3D scanning. Okay. I will, it depends upon the type of technology. Laser light can do it more precisely. Okay. There's photometry kind of thing. I will just show you, just have patience, little bit more. Okay. So there are different laser triangulation 3D scanning technology where they use laser beam to find out the deformation between the laser rays. Okay. Structured light, 3D scanning technology measures the deformation of the light. Okay. So these are the different methods by which the 3D scanning is done. Contact based, it relies on how much the sampling of several points. Okay, the contact type, it requires how in what contact area you are measuring the texture of the or the deformation through the probe. There is a probe. Probe is a point which runs over the surface texture and it records its texture. Okay. Yes, it is costly. It is costly. Okay, now see exactly how it works. You will understand from here. I'm just taking an example over here for when you have a projector, okay, and you have a camera. No, sonar is not used. So you have a object over here, okay. What it does, it focuses this object in some kind of light pattern. Okay, it will focus your object. Suppose this is an object, it will focus the object in some kind of light pattern through the projector. Okay, now see what happens. So we can take any type of integrate shape like this. Okay, just a minute. Okay, let me, okay, this was the 3 light pattern you have selected. And after that, what, okay, from here I will start. So any object of any intricate shape can be scanned. Yeah, we can scan even a human, living objects too. See, so this is an object and you see the light pattern which I've selected initially is passing over there. Okay. Now, when I rotate this object, you see the highlighted red color, that is the scanning pattern of the light. Now you can even rotate it. When you rotate it, you see how the texture pattern also get rotated according to the surface texture of this object. Okay. So it should be kept rotating, right? You see these highlighted light patterns. Okay. Now, what exactly happens when I say about the principle of this? You have a projector, you have a camera, and you have an object. Okay. Now, what happens? Okay. Now, what happens? From the projector, the light pattern is passed and it is sent to the camera for recording the distorted patterns. Okay. There will be some kind of distortion as the object rotates. Okay. So what exactly happens? Suppose there is an object geometry like this. The projector sends the light pattern and the deflected rays are captured by the camera, and this camera captures all the texture from all the points. Okay. So the positioning of these two is very important, right? So because if it is not positioned, you can see if it is not positioned in the correct location, it can't scan some of the integrate shape. So you have to be precise with that. You have to be precise with the location of the camera and projector. If you increase it, you still see there is some kind of portion of the texture that is remaining. And when you they will increase the distance and you will see, yeah, it shouldn't be too much. So focusing of this projector and camera should be kept precise so that you can actually capture all the surfaces texture. So yeah, this is the difficult part. You have to be very precise in that. Okay. So this is how your basic, if I say that this is just a basic thing to understand to get some idea how exactly it works. Okay. Yes, you can use you can scan it and you can use to make that robo of Rajnikant also, no problem with that. You can. Yes, I will share you that thing. Okay. Now, practically, I would like that you should also see how exactly they scan. Okay. So 3D scanning, you will see over here how, see, you have this projector light will be focused on this object. Okay. So there is a complex object kept on the turning table. You see? So it is rotated and the light is passed on this and it was captured by the camera. Yes, it will scan. See, you see this man is scanning a human and he's scanning him and you are getting the 3D model simultaneously. Can you see this? So those who are asking, yes. So you can see over here, there are a number of digital DSLR cameras set on this scanning booth. This is a scanning booth. Okay. So they keep such big type of scanning booth for capturing the bigger objects, okay, even human beings, right? So you can do it. You can see this. They have kept this model on the turning table and how you can see this light, how this light is passing through each of the texture of this object. Okay. So this is how this scanning, 3D scanning works. Okay. You can see, if you want, you can imagine the Rajnikant robo over here. Okay. So they can scan. Some scanners are really handy like this. Okay. They even, you want to scan it by using your hand, you can easily. So yeah, you can see that. Okay. Now what happens, I would like to share after this. Suppose, yeah. So what this man is doing, he is capturing the image of this antique elephant piece over here. Now what he will do, he will scan and he will fuse together all the shots he has taken into 3D model. Okay. So I'll come directly to that. So yeah, over here you have seen it has generated some type of 3D model, and over here he will do some kind of modification. Okay. No, object should be kept stationary because it is better. It should rotate according. See, you are keeping a object on a table, right? And it is rotating with regular time interval so that the scanning can be completed. See, 3D scanning and 3D printing. Okay, both are different things. Both are interrelated, I know, but actually 3D printing, you are doing the 3D printing of those 3D scanned objects. You can't compare 3D printing and 3D scanning. Okay. Ultimately, whatever model you are making, you are modifying it and again you are 3D printing it. Okay. 3D scanning is an input and 3D printing can be an output. Yes, definitely. It is exactly. It is a reverse engineering. Over there, what you used to do, you used to make a 3D model and 3D printed it. Over here, what we are doing, we are scanning the object, then we are exactly getting the 3D model and we are printing. Yes, it is kind of, see, it depends. The modeling of a complicated structure is difficult itself. 3D modeling of a complicated structure will be difficult itself. So it is better you go with scanning first and then convert it into modeling. But for some objects, you are making some new objects. You have some idea, you're making some new. If you want to modify an existing one, you can go with 3D scanning and then go with 3D printing. Right. So see, this is the elephant. Now they have scanned it here. They have got this 3D image and they will make some modification in this. Now, after modifying, they will do? They will send it to the 3D printer. Okay. This 3D printer, they have resized it, everything they did. I'll show you when they put into the printer. Now you can see this Ultimaker in the printer. It is the software same to what I have shown you. If you see carefully, it is Cura 14.09. Okay, so Cura, I've shown you Ultimaker Cura software, right? Where I have set the chess pawn. Similar to that, they have used this elephant, modified it, and they are using it to print same antique elephant over here, okay, but in different sizes, okay. So they have given the G code. G code is given in form of some SD card, right? And over here you can see this elephant gets printed. Yeah, so you get a 3D printed elephant, same like this, but in different size and different material. Okay, so this is how a 3D scanner works. See, it is used, it is being, see, it is a recent technology. Recently, we have developed a lot many things. From medical field is working extensively on it. Construction field is also progressing very much. Don't say that it is not used. It is being implemented. During COVID time, it has been implemented a lot. Okay. So how can we see you how to do G coding and everything? That is a later part of thing. Our machine is, the printer are inbuilt to convert those slice layer into the G codes. G code is a later part of the, right now there are some methods, there are some G codes which have some meaning, right? You want to learn it, you can learn it, right? But I can't teach you right now. It is a more advanced level for that. I have this FDM one. Yes, we have this FDM. I've shown you one slide, which we in the second or third class, I remember. I've shown you the slide, which one FDM, two FDM printers, we have that. We don't have the scanners now, but yeah. YouTube link, yes, I will share you. But before we stop over here, right, I know the session is for the 3D printing, 3D scanning is over, but still I have to discuss few things with you. Okay, because recently I have received a lot of mails with some queries related to the why we should choose the mechanical branch and why should we choose this Amrita Chennai. Okay, so I've received a lot of mails for that. So I will take 2-3 more minutes to discuss why you should choose a mechanical engineering or go with Chennai campus. Yeah, G code is a machine language. Okay, it is that is, you can learn that. You have a procedure for that. You have number of codes defined, which means that machines understand. Suppose I say G90. G90 means something to machine. So whenever the machine see G90, it will work accordingly. Okay. So there are, I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that. If you are interested, I will come to that later on. Let me finish this and you will get your answers. Okay. So, okay, let's start with this discussion. Why mechanical engineering at Chennai campus? Okay. So first, let us know what is this, why mechanical engineering. So mechanical engineering, basically the most diverse, okay, versatile, classic and evergreen branch. Okay, it is, you know very much that it is a combination of your physics, mathematics with the principles and material science involved with it. What we do eventually, we design, analyze, manufacture and maintain the mechanical systems. Okay, so mechanical engineering involves a lot of things. If specifically I say, it includes design, analysis, maintenance, manufacturing. Okay. Now, apart from this, if I specifically say, you can be specialized in multiple fields. designing, thermal engineering, fluid mechanics, automation and control. Automation and control, nowadays we are speaking so much about automation and control, robotics, machine learning, artificial intelligence, everything. Okay, so these are the terms for the era today. Artificial intelligence is growing like anything. There, people are getting mad to create, imitate a human like movement, right? So artificial and machine learning, nanotechnology. Nanotechnology is so popular, getting much so popular these days that you will find so much application. Go to internet and you will see vast number of application for this. So it is almost so much diverse that it depends upon your interest. What are you interested in? Okay, you are interested in artificial intelligence. Computer science is not only limited to do programming, it is also related to doing this artificial intelligence, big data analysis. Being a manufacturing engineer, you have to do this data analysis, because whenever you go to a manufacturing floor, you have number of data. Okay, number of data. So you have to handle them. You can be a big data analyst too. Yes. Okay. Now coming to the career opportunities. You have career opportunities in automobiles. You have a career opportunity in aerospace, chemical industry, construction, medical, computer and electronics products. Okay. So consumer goods, marine, there are numerous robotics, people are going mad after that. Artificial intelligence, manufacturing, machinery engineering, food. During this COVID, this 3D printing has become so popular. So there are n numbers of career opportunities. Attendance, yes. Right. So any discussion about this? Yes. Mechatronics, machine learning, any discussion about this, you needed special guidance or anything, you can just contact me. Any information on the mechanical engineering, any detailed discussion about this machine learning and anything, you can just ask me. Okay. Now, why to choose mechanical engineering in Amrita School of Engineering, Chennai? Now, when I talk about Amrita, you know Amrita is one of the most prestigious private universities. It has been ranked #1 since long, right? When I talk about my faculty members, more, I think 100% of them are PhDs from IITs. Okay, they have got foreign exposure. They are from IIT Kharagpur, IIT Chennai, very prestigious university. Okay, then when I say they have got a lot of exposure from foreign, okay, so all these things we communicate, how the working culture over there is, everything we communicate to our students. We guide them whatever experience we got in our learning process. So they are very much updated with. Coming to location, Chennai. Chennai is, it's a hub of automobile and manufacturing industry, right? All the big industries over there. So we have a direct contact with the industries. We have very intellectual members associated with it. Okay. Now, it is a world class, I can say, student support system, because we have been associated with directorates of the corporate industries. Amrita itself have an international program, right? It has an incubation centers for definitely placement is our priority for students. Yeah. So we always encourage, we are totally student oriented, and we always encourage students to opt for best. Even if they want the higher studies in some international universities, we have a separate system for that. There's a separate incubation center for that, right? Where you can get that entrepreneurship and every idea of entrepreneurship, everything you can be trained on, right? So being the part of such an prestigious institute is an honor for me. So it will be for you also. And our main focus is to keep our syllabus updated. We go with the world, right? We go what is trending in the latest, right? You can see the course is modified very frequently according to what is required in the industries and the markets. So this is all about our campus, our branch. I wish you all the best of luck for your exams.